Eins, zwei, drei, vier.
Den Ball flach halten means to keep the ball flat, they say, but they don't mean flat in the sense of no air. They mean flat on a flat trajectory. They mean close to the ground or low. So you would say, keep the ball low. And what they mean is that well, it comes from soccer. And in soccer, if you kick the ball, from one end of the field to the other end of the field in a high arc, way up in the air and over across the field, you basically have no control over the ball whatsoever. And you don't know what's on the other side of the field, how, who's going to get it, where it's going to land, whatever. It's like the higher you kick the ball, the less control you have over the ball. So if you keep the ball low, close to the ground, on kind of a flat, on a flat arc, a flat trajectory, between close points between players, you have more control over the ball. You keep control of the ball. And so what the phrase means, of course, is that, you want to avoid the big risks, this Hail Mary pass. You don't want to do that. You want to go through the whole process. You don't want to get the ball, in one kick from one end of the field to the other one of the field. You want to kick it from player to player to player, 20 players to get it across the field or something like that. So you want to, that way you keep control over the ball. And so that's what it means, keeping the ball low. It means keeping control of the situation. It's one of those things I like about Germans in general. Germans, of all the things they have, pros and cons, one of the great things is their kind of general reasonableness. They're kind of generally, in most cases, reasonable about things. There's a lot of things they get upset about. They have their prejudices and they go crazy and they have their extremes. But in most cases, they don't overdo it. They will say, well, things aren't as bad as it seems, and we're not gonna, this isn't gonna end tomorrow. So why don't we sleep on it, and why don't we think twice before doing it, and why don't we generally be cautious about doing it, make compromises. Don't expect the other side to come, to our side completely. Be willing to give up some land or some inches to get, close to what you want. It's kind of a general being reasonable about things. It's important in Germany, and it's really good. I think it's, even though there are cases that would, contradict that, I think it's one of the things that Germans do better than Americans did. In America, we tend to go to extremes, and everything seems to be very emotional and idealistic. We do things based on big ideas. We don't like gun control, or a lot of us, I don't know, 60% of Americans don't like gun control because it's the idea that the government is impinging on our freedom. But the Germans say, well, practically speaking, guns are dangerous, and they go off, and when something happens, you can't take it back. So why don't we trust the government that it will not enslave us tomorrow, and make laws that control guns, so for our own safety. And it's kind of a compromise because we don't, they went through the Nazi period, they don't trust government either, but on the other hand, things are going quite well now. So why don't we, give an inch and let government, tell us what to do with the guns, and the what we get for that is that fewer people die by gunshot wounds in Germany, and that seems reasonable. It's just kind of this general. It's not this ideal thing where you think the government is taking away, and then you get red in the face. Fume is coming out of your ears, and the government will not take away my guns. They say, well, in this case, why don't we just be reasonable? And there are disadvantages to this, especially in Germany. Germans tend not to be risk takers. You can tell that by a problem they have in their economy and business is this non-risk taking, this aversion to risk taking, means that they aren't very innovative. All the big innovative things in the economy and also socially, they tend to come from other places, largely from America. Germany could never invent the personal computer or the, or Facebook or the internet or things like that. It would just never happen in Germany because it's too much of a risk. It's a new thing. They said, well, it seems too new. Why don't we just hold on and kind of let the Americans do it? And if it fails, the Americans will have the problem with failure. But if it succeeds, then we can also take advantage of it. So let's not overdo things here. And of course, it means that they are, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to, determining what is going to be done in the modern age and how the modern world is going to look like, Germans don't take part in that. The modern age is largely formed by Americans and others who are willing to take risks. And that also goes with culture. There is no German Tarantino. It's just not going to happen. Tarantino took risks, and Germans won't do that. But when I look at something like the Iraq War, we went in unprepared. It turned out to be a disaster, egg on our face. The Americans are hated everywhere because of the Iraq War. We could have either not done it or done it better. And the Germans said, that's kind of a big step. Why don't we think twice about this? It's a lot of risk. Why don't we keep the ball low? And so they just don't do it. They accept the status quo. And of course, Americans, when it comes to tyranny somewhere in the world, we will not accept the status quo. We go in even if we're unprepared, and it doesn't always turn out well. So what are you going to say? What's better, to be reasonable about it or to be idealistic about it? You can go either way. You can say one is better than the other, but in a lot of cases, I really like this German reasonableness, this German willingness to keep the ball low.
1, 2, 3, 4.